Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, Transformers fans everywhere, welcome back. LPS, Last Prime Speculator, here to bring you another speculation as always. We're going to focus again on Transformers 6, not the Bumblebee spinoff, Transformers 6. But in particular, we're going to focus on the Talisman or the Iacon, the actual artifact that Cade was being presented to, but what I believe is Steelbane. That one night that handed over the Talisman, remember, that was very, very significant. And basically, that was, in a way, what Megatron was coming for. It was also, quote, of the sign of the apocalypse. So we're going to focus on that, which I believe that this little talisman, this Iacon itself, could actually be the most important thing in this future live-action universe moving forward in the direction, okay? We're going to focus on Alpha Trion, the Knights of Cybertron, the word Talisman, the word Iacon, and we're going to tie it in all at the end with the creators, Age of Extinction. We're going to focus on this little series and we're going to base it off that, but basically this is the part one of this new little series I'm doing. We're basically focusing on this Iacon, the artifacts. I felt in Transformers the Last Night, it focused heavily on Transformers, the original one with the Allspark, Megatron and all that, Revenge of the Fallen, and Dark of the Moon. I feel Age of Extinction was put aside, which, what happened? And then I'm basically going to break it all for you at the end. So let's start right to it, okay? Now let's look at the definition of Talisman. Remember, Steelbane handed that artifact and he referred it to the Talisman is yours. Now, if you look on Google, the definition of Talisman. Talisman is an object typical inscribed ring or stone that is thought to have magic powers and to bring good luck, which we learned from when it actually transformed on Cade, brought Excalibur, brought Cade good luck at that particular moment. Remember that, right? Now let's look at the word talisman from TF Wiki, the Last Night. Now, talisman. The talisman is an object created by the Knights of Iacon for the purpose of seeking out or being worthy enough to deem a knight and aid in the battle against Quintessa. It has some degree of science and also an altered shape, even when it's become mobile when necessary to fulfill its purpose. According to the prophecy, the talisman appearing is the first sign of the apocalypse, signaling the end of times. Some bots would consider it wise to retreat far away as if possible. So if you remember, I can't remember his name, but the Junkyard pretty much, I can't remember his name, I think it was Day something. He basically said when he saw Cade with that artifact, that is a sign of the apocalypse. How are you with that talisman? And Cade was also confused why this talisman was here. But from these two definitions, it's designed to bring good luck and magical powers, which we learned it can transform. It followed Cade, right? In Transformers TF Wiki, it's the sign of apocalypse, right? They also referred it to as well as an Iacon, right? Now, what is an Iacon? We are going to use this pretty much off of what the artifacts and everything through TF Wiki. Project Iacon is a planet inhabited by Megatron to use the activists of Orion Pax to decode encrypted Autobot archives. That is the definition of Iacon through TF Wiki, right? Now, we're going to learn about the other words of Iacon through Transformers lore, okay? Now let's start out with the Guardian Knights as Knights of Cybertron. They were referred to as the Knights of Iacon. They were also referred to as, we know, the Guardian Knights, right? But they were 12 elite warriors to oppose the Deceiver sorceress Quintessa. If you haven't seen my last video with the great Deceiver Quintessa, make sure you check it out. I get into it pretty in depth there. They can combine to form Dragonstorm, a mighty, fire-breathing, powerful dragon. Now, the word Iacon itself is, if you're familiar with Transformers lore, like we do in this channel, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. The Iacon is also a city, a very powerful and popular city for the Autobot land during on Cybertron, right? It was referred to as the Iacon City. It was a city or state, and basically it was a Cybertron. It was the planet's capital. It was basically where all the Autobots on Cybertron basically would... The Autobots, obviously, were very peaceful people, right? They were built more for purposes of cargo and stuff like that by their creators, by the Quintessons, right? But basically, the Iacon City was the capital of Cybertron, where basically they would have a console. They believed in democracy. If you're not familiar with the Autobots, right? This was the actual city where they only not made their decisions of war, but also of peace. All the decisions were made through this Iacon city, which was basically the stronghold for the Autobot city in Cybertron, right? Not only that, Iacon City had what they called the Council of the Autobot Elders, right? And it was the higher council. It basically was a judgment place where the ruling Cybertronians would meet in the Capitol, kind of like, let's say Washington, D.C., for instance, Capitol building, and would discuss basically everything going on currently, past, present, or future. But this higher council had affairs of, their whole goal was for peace, right? They basically would determine what they felt before all the wars, what would be better used for their Cybertronian country, right? They would basically determine if it was good or bad. It was a council, and they would use they basically were the first inheritance of politics through the Cybertronian capital. It was all dealt with this council. This is also before the war again, and before they departed, they would meet and basically determine the outcomes of what they believe was good for their life. And that's something that's very cool about Transformers, though, that we dig into this, is that you learn about other things. Now, I give you a couple examples of the word Iacons, right? Now, the main thing that is very, very unique about this, right, is when I first thought of this, I thought of Alpha Trion. Alpha Trion is connected to a bunch, and I mean a bunch, of Transformers lore. In most of them, he's considered one of the 13 primes, but in some of them, he's not. Alpha Trion is the oldest living Transformer. He is considered, in a way, pre-Transformer. Wise, powerful, and he was also a member of this council. Now, when I hear the word Iacon, we're going to connect this all in again. We're going to focus on Alphatron, but Alphatron was part of this council in Cybertron that would determine the actual outcome and good of the world for Cybertron, right? Alpha Trion was extremely wise, man. He's actually who I was hoping was going to be Dragonstorm's character. There was also a rumor, I can't remember, if you guys know what I'm talking about, make sure to leave it in the comments or send me the link. Michael Bay did say that there was going to be a Transformer that had a cape that was wise, that was powerful, that was very, very old. And a lot of us thought originally that's who actually was communicating with Merlin. It would have been really, really cool if that was Alpha Trion. It turned out not to be. But let's pretend that they're going in this route. Alpha Trion is one of the oldest living Transformers when it comes to the Transformers lore and everything. He was a pre-Transformer again. He used, basically, his original name, I believe, was A3, I think was actually his real name. And he helped lead the Cybertronians against the rebellion against the Quintessons. He knew actually who the Transformers were before the Quintessons came and made themselves as God. Hold that thought. His biggest thing and accomplishment in his life, though, was he was the one who created Orion Pax to Optimus Prime. He was actually in G1 the creation of my hero, the last Prime. He basically chose that Orion Pax, the courage and wisdom and powerfulness and the war he had inside, that he was going to be the calling of the next and the last Prime, and basically become the 13th Prime and be the chosen one of Primus. The 13th Prime is supposed to be the most connected to Primus. And Alpha Trion was the one who actually created Orion Pax, right? And other times he was known for basically being a server, a wise, a mentor, and he was also he wasn't a fighter either. He was literally a wizard scientist guy in a way. He was a knowledge of good for the Transformers lore. Now, this is what's so ironic, is that if we look at the words Iacon, Talisman, the city Iacon, where are y'all getting this? You're probably saying LPS, and this is where I'm getting at, okay? I'm very fascinated with finding all the Easter eggs in Transformers lore. Now, the one thing that really stuck up to my mind is they did refer that Talisman as an Iacon. If you look at the Transformers Prime definition called Project Iacon, I already read it, but basically it was decode and encrypted the Autobot archives, as in the history of Transformers. This Iacon, in a way, was a living organism of actually the lore and history of Transformers itself. Now, where I'm getting at is Transformers The Last Knight left a lot of Easter eggs and also didn't answer a lot of questions, which I was a fan of the movie, but the main thing that I been so intrigued about this is Quintessa. Quintessa is very important. We're going to focus on this little series with her, the Knights of Cybertron, this Talisman, all it, and Taiwan. I'm going to do a bunch of parts, but this is strictly about the Talisman and the Iacon. Is the Great Deceiver means liar, manipulator, traitor. Pretty much everything that is good involving liar, that is what Quintessa described. I think we can all agree on that. Now, she referred to Optimus as her maker, okay? This is what inspired me to do this little short series I'm going to be starting. Again, this is part 1. I don't think Optimus Prime made it to his makers / creators. Like, before I finish, this is a speculation channel, just may add. I do not think he made it now. I'm convinced now that this whole thing was pure manipulation. I'm convinced that this was supposed to solve the riddles of Sam Witwicky and those question marks, but it barely touched an age of extinction. Now, I'm thinking Quintessa used the radio signal to basically bring forth Optimus Prime as herself and track him down and basically guide him to meet her, and then she called herself as a maker. I'm thinking she's a total liar. I think the fact that the Knights of Iacon referred to Quintessa as the Great Deceiver is very important. Now, if you look at TF Wiki right here, it shows the picture of the Age of Extinction hand. That's all we saw of what we thought was the creators, right? But if you look at the bottom, it says it right here that you'll be seeing us in the next few years. You won't see much of us, you'll be seeing us in the next few years. I'm thinking that Quintessa is connected not to the actual creators of Optimus Prime and the Transformers. I'm thinking that Optimus Prime never made it. I think Optimus Prime's whole purpose was to make the Quintessons. I think the Quintessons are actually the creators of the Transformers in this lore. They're the creators of the Autobots and the Decepticons. Now, this is where I'm going to tie it all in for you, okay? The Quintessons created the Autobots and Decepticons. Autobots for military, Autobots for cargo, Decepticons for military. That's why they have the better guns and they can fly, and Autobots are bigger and usually stronger for the cargo building purposes and have more of a kind soul, more for whipping on purpose, right? They used space bridges to connect to different dimensions, different galaxies, different zones, to take all of the planet's resources, to take all, I'm assuming, natural beings and bring them in as slaves. Kind of like the opening of Transformers Age of Extinction. We see them wipe out the dinosaurs and they literally started building a factory, their own actual creation of Transformers. I really think we're starting to see where they're building Transformers, in my personal opinion. Now, the main thing is that when they were using these space bridges, and I think putting all these seeds all over the Earth, that the main thing after the Quintessons came to Cybertron and claimed themselves as God, they erased the whole history of the Transformers. They claimed themselves as God. I believe that basically they found the Transformers during Beast Era. The Primes were before Beast Era. And then Beast Era, Dinosaur Times, Autobots, Decepticons. And that gap is when the Quintessons were created, which, if you're not familiar, is by Quintus Prime. He created the Quintessons, never been proven, but basically I think he was killed by him, right? Now, they erased the whole history of the Transformers lore. At the end of Age of Extinction, Optimus Prime's goal was to meet his creators and meet his makers. He wanted to learn about his personal origins. The word icon is very important. The reason being is the word icon in Transformers lore means an actual document, artifact, history, lore. It means an origins and an actual history of existence. The word Iacon itself was also a city, right? An Autobot city. Iacon is where the city of the Autobots, the actual history of the Autobots, capital city, that is the actual word. It's called the Iacon city. Again, the word Iacon, existence of an actual being. Alphatron was part of this higher council, right? He was part of the decisions made for the Transformers and the Autobot, a person of peace, of wise, of intelligence. He's also connected to the creation of Optimus Prime. He knows about Optimus Prime as Orion Pax. He was the reason how Orion Pax became Optimus Prime. He is also one of the ones when he was called A3 that enforced this rebellion against the Quintessons, who created the the Transformers, the Autobots, and the Decepticon Transformers, where this actual artifact of Iacon, Talisman, might be the actual real treasure of the escaped Quintessa artifacts. This treasure is so significant because it can move, it contains stuff, it could transform into a weapon. It is literally a living organism, and it's a living organism from what we learned of actual origins and history of the Transformers. That this could be the reason Optimus Prime never made it. This is also the sign of the apocalypse. If you're coming to return and you want to wipe out the history and claim yourself as God, this chip that Megatron wanted, which we think was the staff, it could be something even different now. That literally, we are about to inherit the origins and history of Megatron, Optimus Prime, and maybe the Quintessons, the actual real creators of the Transformers, right? And to tie it all in, Optimus Prime, in my opinion, never made it to his makers, his creators. And the main thing, I'm going to leave you a little snippet for the next one, right, is that where Quintessa was actually involved in her little like place where she met Optimus was called the Ignition Chamber. It looked very similar to the Knights Temenos. Lockdown, which we're going to talk in our next video, said something to me very important. He said, Prime, this was your old ship. You and these Knights used to use this ship to explore the galaxies. You great crusaders. Now it's my personal prison. He also referred to the creators with an S. The creators. Your creators want you back. There's only one Quintessa. That's what we do in this network. We speculate, we try to find the Easter eggs. In my opinion, they are after this Iacon. This Iacon is actually the most important thing, which would show the actual origins for Optimus flying out into space, learning about his lore, and this is exactly what would create the apocalypse. They basically created the apocalypse in Cybertronian history and wiped out the Transformers of the Beast era, what I think the dinosaurs, the Grimlocks, the Dragon Storms, the escape treasure. The Knights didn't fly after Megatron when they stole the staff. The Knights of Iacon, the word Iacon, they're called the Knights of Iacon, the Guardian Knights, the Iacon City, the Iacon artifact. It is an artifact and a living organism of artifacts of the Transformers' life. And again, the Knights were pre-Optimus Prime. Now, again, we're going to leave out with this part. Alpha Trion was not in this movie. He was rumored to be in this movie. I didn't even think there was articles snipped down, but he created Optimus Prime. The ending of Age of Extinction ends with Optimus Prime trying to meet his creators and learn about his origins. And again, Lockdown says, you think you were born, you were built, and your creators want you back. So there you guys go. I hope you enjoyed that speculation. This is part one. I got plenty more coming from. But yeah, the word Iacon is very significant, guys. If you follow me on Twitter at Prime Speculator. I tweeted out, so this was the next thing coming. Guys, thank you so much for enjoying my speculations. I just want to let you guys know I love my subscribers. I love you guys so much, to my subscribers. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel. If you're into Transformers, open-minded, we dig deep in the lore of Transformers. This is the Transformers community for you, so make sure to subscribe again. This is part one. I hope you guys stay tuned for part two. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for the next snippet. Follow me on Instagram. Make sure to check my Facebook page. All the links are on top of my channel. When you go to the main guide, everything is functioning, working. Follow me on Instagram at Last Prime Speculator, Twitter, Prime Speculator, and now the official Facebook fan page is now officially up. It's completed. It's ready to go play. Make sure to check it out and hit that like button again. And make sure to subscribe to this channel. Guys, to my subscribers, again, I love you so much. Thank you for all the support. I'm so thankful you guys enjoy my speculation this much. LPS, Last Prime Speculator, peace.